12 years ago, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad began a war against his own citizens. To the peaceful protesters in 2011 in Syria, he gave them a choice: Assad or I burn the country. Since then, the innocent people of Syria have endured years of torture, murder, and devastation. Since 2011, over 14 million Syrians have been forced to flee their villages for their own safety. Over 300,000 are estimated to have died at the hand of the Assad regime and dumped in mass graves. There are also hundreds of thousands of people rotting in torture houses and prisons. This decade of destruction has been carried out with the financial support of Russia and Iran. Russian jets bomb Syrian villages, and Iranian Shia fighters sweep through roads and farms, dragging fathers away from their families. Recently, Assad arrived in China, his first visit since 2004. The Chinese Communist Party and their leader, President Xi, literally rolled out the red carpet for Assad upon his arrival. This signaled a decade of strong diplomatic alliance with one of the world's most deadly bad actors. Ending 12 years of diplomatic isolation is a mistake. Assad is tirelessly working to strengthen his partnerships with China, Russia, and Iran. During my time in Congress, I've been a strong voice against Assad's war crimes and those of his co-conspirators in these crimes, Russia and Iran. Over the past 2 years, I've taken action to cut off his latest source of funding, selling an illicit drug called Captagon. Public estimates on the value of manufacturing and distributing Captagon assess the value of his trade at billions of dollars per year. After years in working to fight this regime, I wanted to visit Syria and see Assad's death and destruction for myself. So on August 27th, I went into northwest Syria with my colleagues, Congressman Ben Cline of Virginia and Congressman Scott Fitzgerald of Wisconsin. We visited the Syrian Emergency Task Force Wisdom House, which is an orphanage for children whose parents were murdered by Assad. We also visited the House of Healing over the border in Gaziantep, Turkey, which is a healthcare residence for chronically ill Syrians allowed to come into Turkey for treatment. Both of these incredible humanitarian efforts are sponsored by the Syrian Emergency Task Force. Led by their executive director and University of Central Arkansas graduate Muaz Mustafa, the SETF, his team, and many Arkansans, including Jerry Adams of Conway, Arkansas, are doing incredible work in helping the Syrian people with humanitarian aid. I particularly want to congratulate Jerry on his recognition by Global Justice for his dedicated leadership for the displaced people of northwest Syria. It was a moving experience being able to meet these beautiful, innocent children of the Wisdom House, whose lives have been upended by a murderous dictator. As nations devoted to human rights, we must work together across the globe, including the United States, to counter Assad's continued persecution and find a true political solution. Over the past 4 months, I've traveled and connected with diplomats and other partners in the region, in Israel, Jordan, Iraq, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Italy, and the United Kingdom. I've asked each of these allies and partners about the impact of the Arab League's recent initiative to normalize relations with Assad, and to discuss the United States government's new strategy to dismantle the production and trafficking of Captagon. At the end of June, the Biden administration released their interagency strategy to disrupt the trade of Captagon, as directed by my legislation, the Captagon Act, which was signed into law last year. In taking further action, I recently introduced the Illicit Captagon Trafficking Suppression Act, which would issue new sanctions against the perpetrators of the illicit production and trafficking of this addictive drug. Assad is a transnational drug kingpin, whose Captagon drug is devastating families around the region, and the money from it is fueling his terror partnership with Iran and Hezbollah. This dangerous drug is fueling his reign of terror, and it must be stopped before it moves further west towards Europe and America's shores. As a co-chair of the Friends of a Free, Stable, and Democratic Syria caucus, alongside my friend Congressman Brendan Boyle of Pennsylvania, I will continue my work in Congress on the important issue of Syria and its peaceful, prosperous future. Together, we can make a difference in Syria by fighting to bring stability to the region and, once again, peace to the villages and the people of Syria.